Welcome back. Welcome back, everyone, to the Real Bodies, Real Healing, Real Stories podcast. This is a space where we explore lived experiences behind the strength, the scars, and the transformation. I'm your host, Madeline, and today's conversation is about something deeply vulnerable and surprisingly powerful. So, what happens when a woman decides to see herself differently? Right? That's a really great question. All of us probably ask ourselves that, especially in a transition time. So, not through criticism, not through comparison, but through art. So, today I'm joined by Brandy, a photographer. I always have difficulty pronouncing the word boudoir. And she's a business owner whose work goes far beyond photography. She creates spaces where women reclaim confidence, reconnect with their bodies, which is very important, and often rewrite old narratives of worth and beauty. So, Brandy, welcome. Welcome to the show. Love to
Thank you
have
for
you.
having me. Thank you for
Yes,
having me.
love having you here. I'm very excited to hear about uh, your definition about beauty and confidence. So, just to kind of like give us a little bit about idea about your origin story, Brandon, take us back. Who were you before you became a photographer?
All right, before I became a photographer, so I actually worked at the IU School of Medicine, and I was a director of a PhD program in the biomedical sciences. I'd been there 18 years, well, about 15 years when I actually had a very intensive medical situation happen. I found that I was teaching in one of the courses, so 700 level course. I was writing on the board and I couldn't breathe. It was just really difficult for me to keep my breath about myself. And turns out I had ketoacidosis and had no idea. I ended up in the hospital for 4 days on an insulin drip. And during that time, I was like, what am I doing with my life? And this is not where I want to be. And I was going through a lot of self-hate at the moment, like rewriting a bunch of times my, I guess you would call it bucket list, and just angry that I hadn't taken any of those things off the list, thinking about my age and thinking about where I was at. And, my kids were upset. Everybody was upset with me because they could have lost me. And I was upset that I hadn't done all these things with my life.
Yeah.
And I'm making this bucket list, and in there was like start a business, get a boudoir photo shoot, take pole dance lessons, like
Oh,
things that I had kept putting off for one reason or another that really that came down to my where I felt like I wasn't ready for a whole list of reasons. And so right after I got out of the hospital, I set up my first pole dance lesson. I
nice.
purchased my first boudoir package. I
Yes.
started walking every day just to get nature. It wasn't like a get healthy motive. It was just to be out and peaceful in nature and not stressed out and those kinds of things. And then within a few months, I had decided that boudoir photography was moving, powerful enough because I had had my session. I had already loved photography, and I decided that that was where I was going to invest my money into a business. Prior to that, I had been playing with maybe I'll franchise and have a restaurant or a food
Yeah.
truck or something like that. So I went completely another direction. I that took a few years of doing like part-time photography. And just this year, I quit IU to go full-time as a boudoir photographer.
Yes, it probably took a lot of courage, I'm pretty sure, creating something, but just getting started and to get into that. And I can definitely relate with you with the hating yourself when you're experiencing, really traumatic for the body.
Yeah.
A lot of different challenges, health issues. You start hating yourself, you start hating your body. But you found a way to get out of that, writing down your bucket list. Now you made me think, do I even have a bucket list? Have I checked off any of them? But these are really some things that helps people get out of the stuck situation and victim mentality. And I did hear something from you with your relationship with your body. So did your own relationship with your body influence your work that you're doing now?
Yes, so prior to this health incident, I kept saying things like, I need to lose weight first. I need to be able to look at myself in the mirror first. I don't like how this looks. I don't like how that looks. I had fluctuated in my weight so drastically over the years. I have PCOS, I have um, type 2 diabetes. And so I would go, I would wildly vary in a given year. So for me, that was very upsetting. I think at my highest point, I was slightly over 300 pounds. Um, and I just didn't think that it was for me. And then when I had this health scare, I was like, well, what am I waiting for? I could have never have done it. So I set up the first boudoir shoot. And I'm going to tell you, I had at that time been given a monitor for my arm. And so in my first boudoir shoot, even though I was like shaky, I was driving like 5 hours to my session. I kept thinking, there's an exit, there's an exit. Like I could turn around. I don't have to go through with this. But I kept on, kept on. And then I asked the photographer if she would remove the medical device from my arm, if she would edit it out. And she was like, yeah, I could, but I don't really love doing that. And that kind of upset me at first because I didn't want to pressure her to do something she didn't want to do, but also I wasn't happy with it. I mean, it just gotten put on my arm
Yeah.
and I was just trying to live with this new thing in my life. And so I went from like being so upset and not engaging in not having a boudoir session because of these constraints I put on myself about weight to then being upset that I had a medical device to deal with. And then her being like, well, I could. And then she's like, let's just see your pictures. And the actual session itself, the woman said some incredibly empowering things during the session that I was on cloud nine. Still in the back of my mind, I was like, well, what if they don't edit well, right? What if I don't look good? I feel great. I walked out feeling like $1 million and was kind of like walking a little taller and things like that. When I but I still was worried. It took quite a bit of time to get my photos back too. So when they finally came back, I loved most of them, not all of them. I did love, and I winced when I saw the medical device because she didn't take them out. She didn't take any of those out. And and I was like, but I sat with it a little bit and I kind of tried to be like, okay, well, this is a part of you, right? And also it has helped you because um, it goes up and it goes down and it helps you signal when you need a snack or if you need to like get some protein and walk in a little bit and things like that to get some activity to drop your numbers. So I started like telling myself, I rewrote the narrative for myself, like, okay, this is a part of me and it's helping me do this activity every day, or it's catching when I'm like this. And that really helped me see those images differently. And I'm so glad she actually didn't edit them out. Um, and that actually inspired me to have a similar philosophy in my boudoir, which we can chat about.
Yeah. So it really does sound like there's a personal healing journey behind your business. And
Oh, yes, absolutely. And then every person I work with, there's been so many things that I brought into the business thinking, right? I thought that myself always being hard on myself and my weight and the way that I thought I looked, I thought that there was a definition of someone who would not feel that way.
yes.
And what I learned is that most women, like that over 99% of the women I have worked with have something about them that they nitpick, that they are really angry about on themselves, and that they would just, if they had a stroke of a pen, they would like fix. And I did not have that view before boudoir. And and that kind of shocked me, right? That everybody has something. And and it's so personal for every individual.
Yeah, that is very true. I mean, I've heard from beautiful women that you wouldn't think that they would have some sort of insecurity, but everyone, it seems like, as long as you're female, there's always something that you would like to be changed about you. And it does take some time to get used to accepting that. And this is very powerful that you're sharing this, especially from your experience, because with the healing element, that's a very big part of that. That's part of the acceptance and healing. And many people, when they hear boudoir, and hopefully I'm pronouncing it correctly,
You are.
think about glamour, right? But I suspect there's something much deeper happening in your studio. So, what
Yes.
do women walk in caring emotionally, and how do they live when they work with you, especially when they have insecurities, which show up most often, right?
Yeah. So I try to help women prior to their arrival in the studio on the day of the session. I actually do a wardrobe consult with them, bring them in about 2 to 4 weeks prior so that it helps ease their fears. One, they get a tour of the studio. Two, they get to meet me.
Yeah.
Three, they get to try on outfits. But that eases the, will something work for me? What if I show up and nothing fits me? What if I show up and
Yeah.
nothing looks good on me? So it helps alleviate those fears. So I really tried hard to like look at the whole structure of the business that I visited, talked with that woman. She was very open with me on how she ran her business. And I really tried to take that and lay out where are the parts of the journey that will cause someone anxiety
Mm.
and how can we overcome that. So I get women, I tend to resonate not with the women who say, I've done this before. I mean, I've had some come to me who have done it before, but mostly it's people who have never done it before. It's
Yeah.
usually people who have had a similar story to mine and that there was always a reason why they didn't, whatever that reason might be. And then finally one day they just have like a moment where they say, I'm doing this. But that doesn't stop the anxiety. It doesn't stop the fear that they're not going to look well. It doesn't stop the fear that that they're not being kind to themselves along the way. So I knew that was another area I needed to work on and help guide clients. So I have a positive affirmations guide. I have
Mm.
a mirror ritual that I share with my clients. Like, all right, this is going to feel uncomfortable, but if you're going to look at yourself in the mirror every morning, and if you feel okay in this moment, you're going to give yourself 2 minutes and you're going to speak neutrally to yourself. And I want you to say this, and I want you to think about this, and then comment on one part of your body, right, in a neutral way. And so I try to do these things to help them overcome these anxieties that they will have in the meantime, because it's like an up and down, right? You're exhilarated that you did it, but immediately afterward, you're like, what did I just sign up for? And then you get excited when you get a guide about lingerie and you're like really you loving it, and then you go try on some things, or maybe you order stuff from Amazon and it comes in and it's not quite the right size and you get a little bit down. And so like it's a roller coaster. So I tell people like you will have these ups and downs and this is going to happen. So how do we combat that? Right? Take some measurements. All right. Know your sizing and match that to what you're ordering. I have a lingerie guide on what looks stunning on everybody, right? So you based on your shape, but then the biggest factor is if you feel good in it, you're going to look amazing. I've seen women who look, I would not have been able to wear it 3 years ago, but now I'm able to wear it, right? Because I changed how I view it. The exact same outfit, but I didn't feel good in it before. Now I feel great and I just carry it differently. So I try to walk people through that process so they understand that there's going to be ups and downs, that they'll get through it. And on the other side of that, the actual session, the smiles that they like, the pure emotion and the smile that happens when somebody sees themselves in the back of the camera. That's another thing that I do. I probably overshow the back of the camera because when I had my shoot, I only got showed one picture. And even though I loved the process and it felt great and I felt beautiful and the things she was saying was so great, I only got shown one picture. And so I was a little nervous because my friend also did it with that same photographer and got shown like 5 photos. And so in my mind, I was like, right?
Why is she
And
not showing it?
why don't I see more, right? So I show my clients a lot of the back of the camera so that they can see what captured just the way they are, right? No editing.
Yeah.
And I've never had somebody go, oh, right? Most people are like, holy, I don't know if we're allowed to
Yes.
curse, but you know what I mean?
Yes, I definitely know exactly that feeling. And I love that you're very transparent. You created this guide, this environment that allows the women to feel safe because that's exactly how we want to feel. We want to feel safe in an environment, and really bring out that that confidence or that courage to be able to start trusting themselves. And you need that safe environment. And when you do work with women, what insecurities do you think show most often, and what transformation have you seen? Is it possible like in a single session, or do you feel like you need a big shift for that to happen?
So I have seen a shift in a person that just comes from a mini session. All right. And my mini sessions are not like 8 minutes, right? They're one set experiences, typically about 15 minutes. But I have seen a shift even in that type of session.
Very fast
But
then.
do what?
Very fast, very fast.
Right. Yeah. I mean, they're short, but I mean, they're still getting all that pre-prep work. They're still, if they want a tour, get a tour of the studio. I still show them the back of my camera. They start at 15 minutes. I always go over, but the insecurities I have found most with women, I always ask, like, what is the favorite part of your body? Most women inevitably say their eyes. Some will say my breasts, some will say my booty, but by and large, the most common answer is my eyes. And then I'll ask, what are some areas that you maybe want to de-emphasize, not focus on, or you're worried about? And by and large, people will say my belly, my stomach. I get some people will say my arms. Some people will say my chin. So society, I think I blame this on our society we're in, send us these images of who they believe is the perfect person or perfect body. And if we don't live up to that standard, right, then we judge ourselves. And even if we are that type, there's still insecurities. And that was the bias that I had to overcome when I learned boudoir, is that um, everyone has something, because there's always something they feel like someone else has better than them, but it's because society puts that out there, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
This set of jeans on this person looks amazing. Or you go to purchase something and your size isn't available, or you go somewhere, like I have a friend who is intentionally trying to gain weight because she's so small and she can't find outfits that she likes in her size because there's such a small availability in her size, or she's got to go like into children's clothes. So
Yep, in order for that to fit. Yeah,
yeah.
this body image with society, I think it's not just women who wants to have like flat abs, but those who wants to gain weight or have like other health issues going on. And many of the women I work with are leaders, caregivers, healthcare professionals. They also perform at high levels, but they often feel disconnected from their bodies. So, what do you think? So many high achieving women struggle to feel comfortable in their own skin. Because you did mention that you work with different kinds of women. Most of them as well are high achieving. So when you do work with them, is it more comparison culture, aging, stress, perfectionism? What would you say to the women listening who thinks that I need to lose weight first before I can grow?
But what would I say to women who think they need to wait? How long? When is enough? Okay, so for myself, I'm sitting in the hospital on on a hospital bed, and I am angry at myself because I waited. Like, what was the point in me waiting? So I think it comes down to, you have to be ready to say, despite these thoughts that I am having, one, they're not true. I am being super judgmental to myself. Would I say this to my best friend? And if you would say that to your best friend, then you need to think about your word choices you use, right? But we would never talk to our best friend the way we talk to ourselves. Not even close. So if you would just talk to yourself as a best friend, what would you say? My best friend was like sending me pictures of specials she found online and trying to push me to book a boudoir shoot. You know what I mean? Because she knew it's on my list. And she was like, and look, this class for pole dancing's available. I'm going to go with you. Like, you know what I mean? So talk to yourself like you would a best friend. And yet, what would you tell yourself? You would say, stop waiting. Stop waiting for some magical number, some magical size, some magical age. One, we are not getting any younger. I have photographed a 72-year-old woman who rocked her photo shoot. She was so gorgeous and just so happy that she took the time to do a photo shoot. It was beautiful.
Now
Um,
I'm curious, was that like her first boudoir photography?
it was her first boudoir shoot, not her first photo shoot ever, but her first boudoir photo shoot.
Oh,
And you know what she told me? Like, now I'm mad I didn't do it sooner. You know what I
yes,
mean?
she's probably saying, "Oh man, I could have done this, multiple times already."
Yeah,
Yeah,
right,
but what
right.
triggered her to get that shoot with you?
Well, she said that she had done like a photo shoot with some family members, and one of her friends had recently become divorced, and maybe she was in her 60s or something. And she was like, and her friend had done it, and she was like, well, maybe I can try one too, you know. So it was her friend going through a divorce who had had one, and then telling her about it, that she was like, maybe I can do one. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was like a transition that was the catalyst for that. And
Yeah, a lot of times that's what I find is that women are going through some form of transition. Either it's a medical situation has happened in their lives. That happens a lot. I just had an individual have to go through a double mastectomy. So they reached out to me ahead of time, had a photo shoot pre double mastectomy, and it plans to get one post recovery. But I've also had people who have had major weight loss. I've had people who have had major weight gain. I've had people who are going through divorce. I've had people who celebrate their birthdays. Um, Sometimes I get people who want to do it for someone else, and that's okay, but it's like a 2-for-1 special then, because the other person gets something out of it. But really, the biggest gift is to yourself, because the confidence that you walk away from having this session, you walk taller. Um, I did a shoot for a younger, she was out of high school, just turning 20, and I did a photo shoot for her. And her mom also had done one previously. Her mom messaged me, my daughter now doesn't say mean things about herself. And she comes out having brushed her hair, and because that was always like a battle with the two of them, was like self-care, like take care of yourself. And she said she's brushing her hair, she's got a bounce in her step, she talks about looking good in an outfit. I don't know what happened during her session, but thank you so much. Her daughter ended up sharing her images with her, and then I got another thank you. She just was so happy that her daughter had done it. Um, and then and she had a similar story too. So she was kind of feeling like, all I'm labeled as is, well, that was her youngest, kind of going off to college kind of situation. And so she felt this kind of transition in her life. Well, I'm not taking care of 3 kids anymore, right? My
Mhm.
husband and I barely know each other because all we've ever had is kids around us. And, you know, so she was trying to just rediscover even who she was post not having kids, not driving them around all the time. And so she came to me to do a session for that reason. She was like, I'm doing this for me because for so long I did things for others, right? I
Mhm.
had another lady who messaged me after her shoot, and she said, I went and got my driver's license. So, long story short, she had been in a car accident many, many years ago, hadn't driven in years. Someone brought her to her photo shoot, which is another thing. I allow you to bring a guest to your photo shoot because there are people who can't get to me unless someone is driving them.
Yeah.
So she had somebody bring her to the photo shoot. They actually weren't in the shoot itself, like they stayed downstairs, out in the car, didn't even want to come into the place, but they brought her here. And she messaged me later, like, I have been so filled with confidence that I went and got my driver's permit. I now have my driver's license and I'm taking my first solo trip. Um, hours away. I was just floored because I don't claim that. That's what she told me, right? But she's like, I tie it to how confident I felt. It just gave me a little more confidence to try something else and try something else. And then the next thing I know, I'm getting my driver's license. And I was like, holy cow, that's amazing.
Yeah, it
Um,
does sound amazing. Like I feel like you're making big impact in their lives with the shift and the transition that they're going through. And a lot of this is mostly just about trusting themselves again, right?
yeah.
Having confidence. And with the work that you do, what is confidence really from your perspective? Is confidence something women walk in with or something they discover? And what do you think surprises clients the most about themselves?
All right. Couple questions there. So
Yes.
the I actually think people have confidence when they're little. I see little kids running around all the time.
Yeah.
They say things, right? The truths just come out of their mouth from their reality, and there's nobody shaming them. There's nobody stifling them. They're they are just these little balls of energy that can say anything they want and have this air about themselves. And so I think over time we do it to ourselves, maybe our parents, maybe our partners.
Yeah.
People feed us stuff that isn't allowing us to grow. It's actually stifling us. Society pressures, the words we give to ourselves, other things that kind of like take that and chip away at us and make us unsure of ourselves. Um, I think confidence is an overwhelming feeling that despite any challenges or roadblocks in the way, I can do this, right? Or I can, go get my driver's license. I can wear makeup. I can choose not to wear makeup, right? To have the confidence to be like, this is who I am, right?
Yeah.
And this is who you get.
Yep.
and and to not feel like you have to alter yourself in another way or to feel like you don't have to stifle yourself. You're in your you era, right? Like this is who I am. And so that for me, that's what confidence seems to be. And I'm still every single client I get helps me even grow in that way, right? I get something from them as well, like seeing them rise up and just be happier and walk taller and have more faith in themselves gives me like a high, right? I just am
Yeah.
continually like, I cannot believe this gets to be my job every day. I cannot believe that I get to do this for a living now. So that was one answer. And then there was another question you asked me and I forgot what it was.
And that's perfectly fine. From what you mentioned to me, this is really giving you a lot of, growth, and you're experiencing helper's high because you're seeing the difference that you're making in people's lives. And it's amazing to be a part of that journey. I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
that gives you a lot of joy with the work that you do. Now, let's talk about you as a woman building something, because you've gotten here, your journey led you here, and now you're helping women build that confidence so they can also pursue something. When you started building your business, what has entrepreneurship healed in you aside from what you already mentioned for those who are interested in entrepreneurship and have that block there?
All right. So what is in entrepreneurship basically
Yeah,
for
healed.
me
Yeah.
or
Mhm.
healed in
And
me?
yeah,
Oh,
what has that required from you emotionally, physically, for you to actually get out there?
yeah. Well, to the negative. I mean, I have committed a ton of hours to this business that I probably had my nervous system been felt safe, I probably would not have done. So
Mm.
I am just now learning as of February of this year for my birthday, I treated myself to a mentor um, who who I literally went to this woman and said, listen, I left my job of and was doing job plus business and giving it 80, 90 hours a week, and I'm tired. And I thought that January 1, because I left my job January 2nd. So I thought like January 3rd, I would work an 8-hour day and walk away and give myself weekends. what in reality happened was I just substituted all the hours for my business. And I was like, this is not giving me balance. And my husband, it took my husband actually telling my husband and my friends saying, and my children saying, like, okay, you can take a break now.
Yeah.
Right. And I just didn't. So for the first month, I overworked. And my birthday was in February. So I reached out to a lady who I know does nervous system work. And I said, I have some limiting beliefs around work and how many hours I have to put in to feel value. And I need to stop that. Because I actually have this giant list of limiting beliefs. And I went through them and I highlighted these are ones I used to believe but no longer believe. These
Mm.
are the ones that I kind of sort of still have issues with, like it resonated with me. And then these are the ones that make me want to tear up. And all the ones that made me want to tear up were related to how much value I have as a person and how I had to equate with how many hours and how much I give of myself in a business or in work, my work product, perfectionism, all of this stuff. And it was like eye-opening for me. What I did find interesting was that my limiting beliefs that once existed around body image are gone. I do not have many of them anymore. I mean, maybe like one or two, I was still like, oh, I should still work on that. Those are gone. But the ones that, I don't know, there were maybe like 11 or so that were really related to how much time and effort and type of work that I produce that I was like, that's unhealthy and I'm going to have to target this next, right? This is my growth area. So being in entrepreneurship has helped me be more self-aware. It has helped me overcome, I feel like a little late in the game because I've been 3 years in this process of doing part-time work and excessively giving of myself to realize that I need some nervous system work and that I have to feel safe and in being able to take time off. But it's brought a lot to me in self-awareness. It's brought I also believe wholeheartedly in education, being in a background from a university. So I invested the first 6 months of my business in learning photography. I'd already taken a photography course years prior, but I wanted to feel good before I moved into the business realm. So from December to May, all I did, so my backup, the medical issue happened in late September. I had my first boudoir shoot early December. And by end of December, I had decided that's where I was going to put my money to start a business. I wasn't going to do a food truck anymore. I was going to do a photography business. So the end of December until May, all I did was education. I spent the time learning about boudoir, learning about photography, learning about business before I even took my first image. And I think that helped me. It certainly didn't help the timeline of money building, right? Because
Yeah.
at one point my husband was like, is this just a hobby or are you ever going to pick up your camera? Or are you just going to keep learning about it? He's kind of been like that person behind me that's kind of giving me the little push occasionally because I was real angry when he was like, are you ever going to open your camera box? And I was like, when I feel like I can open this very expensive item and not break it, yes. You know
Yes,
what I
yes, they
mean?
are pretty expensive. It sounds like this, this journey is still something that you're going through right now.
Absolutely, still going through it. And right now, my focus is recognizing that I can set boundaries and take breaks, and that I do not have to, like, I do not, it does not have to be perfect because then sometimes you never start, right? It
Mm.
goes back to that me was saying I wanted to wait until I was the perfect weight or the perfect shape or whatever I defined as perfect. That is also that belief, right? That you have to wait and be perfect before you can do anything. And that it clearly is a limiting belief that has been in my life for a long time and that I'm just now recognizing is hindering or has hindered growth for me because who knows what I would have looked like if I had rested or
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah,
So I'm still on my journey. So I guess overall for entrepreneurs, I would say learn your trade, but don't take too long because that's what I kept just waiting. And then just become more self-aware so you can work on balancing things, you know?
well, it sounds like this is really giving you a lot of awareness. We're all in a growth journey, it's like always continuously, and we're always working on ourselves. But something really important came up for me that you mentioned about not waiting until you're ready or you're perfect, which I think is also very much connected to the confidence, right? Like having the confidence now and not waiting that getting that perfect result before you get the confidence, right? And for our listeners today and our viewers, what's one invitation for the women listening today that you'd like them to hear from you? And I'll put that as well in the chat.
All right. What is the one what?
What's one invitation that you'd like to share? Is it anything that you'd like to share, like your services or
Oh,
programs?
sure. Sure. If somebody wants to just reach out to me, I can do like phone, I can do video consults, can show you the studio. If you just want to have a conversation about what it would look like, I'm all for that. I just walked somebody through a discussion via text because that's how they felt the best about it. Um, but yeah, I have the occasional studio event where people can come in and meet me and see the studio and interact with other women who have been through, some have been through the session, some have not, but it's just kind of like a community building. And then I have, those what I call like no risk because you're not doing boudoir.
Yeah.
Then I have the occasional minis available. And I can even send you a link to that if you're interested and you can share that.
Yeah,
But I would say start with a conversation. You should always feel safe with your photographer because not everybody is safe.
that it I think it's very important because you want to like everything shows up on the photos, right? You can't really hide anything, although it can be edited. uh you can't really edit the expressions, like things that are showing up, your body, the way that your body is showing up on the photo, all of that, your confidence, it does show up. And what you're doing, Brandy, it's definitely impacting a lot of people with their, with their life. From what you shared with me, you're very detailed. The guides that you mentioned to me, the environment, not a lot of people think about that. They just like do the shoot and everything, but I feel like you go into more details about, okay, preparation, because preparation is a big thing before they even get there, so that they're ready, they're not so tired, fatigued, and they're ready and they're feeling confident. Plus letting them feel safe with you, which I feel is very important. I've done a lot of photos where I'm like, oh my God, I don't even feel like I can smile or anything. But it sounds like with the work that you do, it does remind me that when you do the photos, it's part of the healing for, especially for the women that are doing that. And depending on how you're doing your work, that becomes part of their journey for building their confidence and actually pursuing what they want in life.
Yes, I think it's definitely like a spark. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
definitely
a spark that just opens up the story that you shared about, the was it like a teenager or
the 19-year-old.
the
Yeah.
teenager? I think
19
that's
slash 20-ish. Yeah.
yeah, that's amazing because a lot of, teens, they go through like body shame, and they they go through their 20s, 30s still hating their body. So getting to them at the very young age, that helps them, have that confidence, so that
Yeah.
maybe they even choose the right profession for them or go for their dreams. So
Well, yeah. I
that's
mean,
amazing.
so I was very clear with her that she had to be out of high school. She had to, you know what I mean? Like I have some
Yeah.
rules.
Yes.
But um but she was 19 going on 20 and just thinking about college. Yeah. I've never done anyone straight out of high school. But I do have some parameters. You have to be 18 and out of high school. I really prefer to shoot 21 and older, but if somebody out of high school reached out to me, I would be like, okay, let's have a discussion, make sure you're okay, you know.
Just
Um,
to check off the,
yeah, yeah. I
okay.
mean, for compliance reasons and law reasons, you know, but I actually don't shoot children at all. So I don't do weddings, I don't do families, and I don't do children photo shoots. It's just a personal preference for me. I grew up with a traumatic, abusive family, and it doesn't resonate with me. So
Okay, that totally makes sense. And especially those that have chronic health issues, I think you're the first person that they can work with. A lot of this chronic health is connected to their hatred with their body as well. So
yeah,
working with them on that, I think it's going to be a big thing. So
I have
thank
a
you so much.
client. Oh, okay, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Brandy, for this conversation. You were saying something about
A client? Yeah, I have a client who came to me. She has a coloscopy bag.
um
And her very first photo shoot, so she's done several with me. But the very first photo shoot, I showed her the images, and she didn't want any with the bag in the picture. And my rule is not to edit out medical devices. If someone pays me extra to edit them out, I will, but I don't like to do it. So we cropped and we got the images to where she liked them. And it did give her some confidence, but when she came back for her second session, she was a little less upset about the bag. And by her third session, she has named her bag like a person's name. So she was like, take a picture of, and now I don't have to edit her bag anymore. And she's a completely different person in that respect.
Wow. Yeah, that story is just like heartwarming. You know, the acceptance, there's stages of it, but eventually she got to accept that. And I think once you accept something, it's much more easier for you to heal and be able to let things be as they are. And
Yeah,
eventually, you become exactly what you always wanted to be, or the perfect you, or pretty much like the healthy part of you. So everything is
right.
like let go. And your work,
Absolutely.
yeah, your work really does reminds us that healing doesn't really always happen in a therapist office. Sometimes
Yeah.
it happens in
Sometimes
front
it's
of
your friend giving you a kick in the pants and telling you a story, and then sometimes it's a photo shoot.
yes, like sometimes it's in front of camera in good lighting and brave vulnerability. And we would love our listeners to connect with you. So I'm gonna, if once you share that link with me, I'm gonna add that here. And thank you so much, Brandy, for this conversation. You're
All
an
right.
awesome photographer because just the work that you're mentioning to me, it does have like a certain sort of flair, but also in a way very unique because you bring that confidence which is not available for all kinds of for different kinds of photography
Well,
and
thank you.
photographers. So thank you so
You.
much for being here. And for those that would love to connect with Brandy, I'm gonna post her link on the comments below. So definitely
All
connect.
right.
All right.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks so much, Brandy. Oh, okay, congratulations.